Okay, this is welcome to the Tewksbury Conservation Commission meeting of May 13th, 2020. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is another virtual meeting. Jason, is that phone number planted somewhere calling people can see it? Oh, okay. I'm not on the TV screen, so I wouldn't see that. All right. First item of business is approval of minutes, which we have none to approve. Okay, and before we continue, I am going to go through the ones that will be continued to our next meeting. Okay, item A is a public hearing notice of intent. Pepsi Corporation, 600 Woburn Street, map 3, lot 82, DEP number 305-11606. The applicant is requesting a continuance to May 27. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Item C is a continued public hearing, notice of intent, Mark Ginsburg and Ani Martel, 325 Marshall Street, map 32, lot 3, DEP number 305-1107. The applicant is requesting a continuance to May 27, 2020. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. That will be continued. Item D is a continued from April 15th, notice of intent, Kazazian Enterprises Incorporated, 2512 Main Street, map 94, lot 65, DEP number 305-1111. The applicant is requesting a continuance to May 27th, 2020. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, next item on the agenda, Mr. Sheehan is going to recuse himself. It is item B. We'll give you a heads up when to come back, Mr. Sheehan. It is notice of intent, Richard Montori, Town of Tewksbury, 135 Pleasant Street, map 47, lot 40, DEP number 305-1103. Is there anybody on for this notice of intent?
Yes, there is, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir, certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, and board members. For the record, my name is Peter Collins from CBRE as the owner's project manager on behalf of the applicant, Town of Tewksbury Town Manager, and the Elementary School Building Committee. With me this evening on the call also is Bill Beatrice from Flansburgh Architect, one of the designers, along with Jared Genalucci from Niche Engineering, the civil engineer. Those two gentlemen are the design team members.
Okay, so is that it?
I know if you'd like, Mr. Chairman, I can continue. Just wanted to mention, since our last meeting, the design team has provided copies of the complete set of drawings, both paper and printed, based on discussions that we have had with the town engineer and the town engineer's peer review consultant on some stormwater drainage calculations and design configurations. We recently completed an acceptance of the design from the town engineer and the peer review consultant. On Monday night, 2 nights ago, we concluded and closed the hearing with the planning board here with the town of Tewksbury. And recently, we've been working with the conservation administrator. We have reviewed the draft conditions that the Conservation Administrator has drafted up. We take no exception to the conditions. We are prepared to answer any questions and discuss any items or questions the board may have, or the commission may have, excuse me.
Okay. Before we get to the board members, this is a public hearing. Is anybody on the line? If nobody's on, we will come back to it just because you have to catch up to it, correct?
That's fine, understood.
Okay, so if somebody comes on the line, just interrupt me. Okay, board members, any questions?
No questions.
No questions either.
Okay, of course I have a question. I read the letter from VHB, and I'm looking at the findings, and if you look at the thing, it says applicable stormwater regulations appear to minimize any potential impacts to abutters. I thought there was going to be no impact to abutters.
May I ask, Mr. Chairman, which report or date of report, and was that from VHB?
It was from VHB dated today, yesterday.
Oh, the 512, okay. Yeah, we just received that this afternoon from the town engineer's office. I do have, we do have on this call this evening, the civil engineer, Jared, from Niche Engineering. And he can certainly, Jared, if you're listening, maybe you could offer some thought, comment?
Sure, happy to do that. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Again, for the record, Jared Gentilucci with Niche Engineering. We are the project civil engineer. I do have a copy of the letter you're referencing from VHB with that paragraph under the section titled Findings. And I do see they do indicate in the letter that it appears to minimize any potential impacts to abutters. I would say at this point, the design that we have worked out with the DPW, with VHB as the peer review engineer, and through the process with your commission as well as the planning board, I would say that our design at this point does eliminate any impacts to abutters.
That's what I need to hear.
Yeah, that we've
eliminate, not
yes.
appear to minimize.
Yes. We have at this point, we have a design to meet or exceed in some cases all of the stormwater management standards. And we also made some adjustments to essentially either eliminate or reduce flow to any abutter's properties. So any flow that previously went to an abutter's property, we're either eliminating it entirely or reducing it, whereas most of the flow from this site is going to the wetlands on the western edge of the site. But we're also providing a significant amount of groundwater recharge as part of our stormwater management system. So a lot of the flow will actually be through groundwater flow, not through direct point discharges, as if through a pipe end or a flared end section. So yeah, so I would say that we have eliminated any impacts to the abutters.
Okay, that statement appears to minimize kind of scared me. Okay, and the field test pits, we're going to be doing those, I assume. That's under B5.
B5, 1 second, please.
If you go down and you look, it says approach drainage design contains multiple utility crossings.
Mr. Chairman, I can address that one. We have no issue, no exceptions with doing some infield test pits to verify some existing utility locations. We have identified those locations based on the survey record information. But I don't disagree with the peer review engineer. It does not hurt for us to work with our contractor to do some field investigation once we start construction, just to verify some of those locations. We feel that at this point we've done everything we can based on the information we have to verify those, but it always happens. You find something in the field that's a little bit different than what you found on a record plan. So we don't see any issues with working with the contractor to do some test pits to verify that information.
Okay, well, that's all the questions. Stefan, you have any concerns?
No concerns from my review of all the revisions. Everything outstanding from VHB's notice of intent review has been addressed. So the riverfront impacts were reduced, and the culvert will be installed in dry conditions. So yeah, as long as we just condition some things, I think that will be all set.
Okay, Mr. Ronan or Mr. McMullen, no more questions after this?
No more questions for me.
Okay. All right. So now we're at the point where we're getting close. So nobody from the public has called in, Jason? Okay. So now I'm going to entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well. Okay, now in regards to the motion, Stefania did a nice job in putting this together. So I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the notice of intent for Richard Montori, Town of Tewksbury, Town Manager, 135 Pleasant Street, map 47, lot 40, DEP number 305-1103. Okay, with the standard order of conditions, and in addition to the standard order of conditions, we are going to add that page. Stefania, how many? It's a standard order of conditions. What happened to the? Oh, we are going to add 8 more conditions, correct?
No,
seven.
there's a second page.
Oh, there is a
So
second.
12.
Okay, we're going to add 12. So we have the standard order of conditions. The applicant shall retain a wetland scientist who will serve as the project's environmental monitor. The EM shall be responsible for overseeing work related to the stream crossing in the work replication and restoration in wetland resource area. The EM shall report environmental conditions to the conservation at a minimum of once per month or as needed. EM shall monitor replication and restoration areas for 2 years of full continuous growing season with written reports submitted annually to the Conservation Commission by October 31st of each year. To the greatest extent possible, wetland plants shall be carefully removed from the wetland areas and will be temporarily or permanently altered and appropriately stored to be reused during the replication and restoration activities. Any hydric soils being used in the replication areas shall be adequately stockpiled, protected to ensure they do not dry out. Any plantings in the wetland replication and restoration area that die shall be replaced. Around the vernal pool, both a silt fence and a straw wattle shall be used as erosion control. Field construction schedule shall be submitted to the Conservation Commission or its agent prior to the start of work. We're getting there. The contractor shall provide the Conservation Commission or its agents with a crossing plan that details how the work area will be isolated during the installation of the culvert and the locations of any BMPs, i.e. sandbags, berms, bumps, energy dissipation devices, etc. The contractor shall ensure proper dust control measures are used during the duration of work. Okay, and 2 more. A plan showing areas designated for the following items shall be submitted to the Conservation Commission or its agent prior to the start of work. Overnight equipment storage, cleaning and maintenance areas, a refueling station and secondary containment area. In that essence means that your fueling station will be self-contained. So if it leaks, it doesn't leak into the ground. It leaks into your cement pool or whatever you put down there. Temporary bathroom facilities, office facilities, trash and dumpster. All right, finally, storing, servicing, or cleaning of equipment, including but not limited to fueling, changing, adding, or applying lubricants, hydraulic fluids, or washing, rinsing of trucks or equipment shall be performed outside the 100-year floodplain and the 100-foot buffer zone. Any on-site fueling tanks must have a secondary containment area. And that's going to do it. And that's going to be put in the form of a motion. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Good luck, gentlemen. Keeping stuff with Stefania, and we hope things go well for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members. On behalf of the project team, we appreciate the board's input and patience throughout this permitting process. And thank you to the Conservation Administrator, Stefania. You've been a great asset to this process. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sheehan, come on back. Okay, this item we already continued. This item we already continued. Okay, now we're down to item E. Notice of intent, Adam Goldberg, Sear Fried Properties, 495 Woburn Street, map 1, lot 1, and 40 Discovery Way, map 1, lot 3, DEP number 305-1112. Is there anybody here for this?
Hi, good evening. My name is Jeff Black. I'm with VHB here on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, and you by yourself?
No, I'm also joined by Laura Leitch, who's the wetland scientist for this project.
Okay,
And if I may, we also have another agenda item right after this, which is a new item, but it's related to the demo and electrical installation of the existing building. It may be a little easier to talk about that one prior to speaking about the proposed redevelopment. So I can go either way, but I just
well, I would continue the way we are going right now, because the second one, you don't have a DEP number on it, so we can't do anything with that anyways. All we can do is just listen to. So we're on the one with the DEP number.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Okay, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. I'm going to share my screen here. Have some graphics. So we were before you I think it was a month or so back now at this point. This is regarding the redevelopment of the former Raytheon site at 495 Woburn Street. Here's the overall site development graphic. I'll just recap. Overall, the site is about 118 acres in total. There's about 46 acres in Tewksbury, about 34 in Billerica, here abutting the river, and another 38 in Lowell. So there, the existing Raytheon building is about 445,000 square feet. And the site is bounded by a large wetland system here to the north, commuter rail tracks to the east. Acre Commodities is the abutting property to the south. There is a small wetland, or a part of a wetland system here on the southwest, and then the Concord River is immediately to the west here. So I'll flip to the proposed redevelopment here. So what we are proposing to do is a full redevelopment of the site. The existing building would be demolished, and all of the pavement, pipes, everything like that will be fully scraped from the site. Here's the proposed building. It's about a 715,000 square foot footprint for the building. The entirety of the site will take place within the existing limits of pavement of the former Raytheon site. You can see here all this green hatching color along the south, the west, and the north. That is all area that is pavement today that will be returned to grass in its final condition. So a little bit of lay of the land for the site. We're going to have loading docks on the north and south sides of the site. Truck parking will be here on the north, on the west, and on the south side of the site. And there will be some employee parking, mostly taking place on the east side of the site here, on the east side of the building, but there will also be some employee parking, mostly for the truck drivers on the west side of the site. So we are, one thing to note here, in the southeast corner of the site, there is a small isolated wetland, which we are proposing to fill. It is, I believe, about 4,300 square feet in total. I'll let Laura speak to that, conditions of that in a minute, but we are proposing to fill this isolated wetland as part of the redevelopment process. One of the reasons for that being is part of our process we went through meeting with the fire departments. They had requested full access 360 degrees around the building. So that involved this roadway connection here, which will only be used for fire access, hopefully never needed, but that is the reason why we have to provide a connection here and disturb the wetland. Because of that wetland fill, we are proposing two separate wetland replication areas. This diagonal line through the building is the town line between Tewksbury and Billerica. As you can see, portion of this isolated wetland is in both towns, so we are proposing two separate wetland mitigation areas. One will take place up here in Tewksbury, and another will take place in the northwest corner of the site in Billerica. And again, I'll let Laura speak to that more in detail. So we are proposing a all new updated stormwater management systems. You can see here sort of gray hatched areas will be 5 separate stormwater management areas, all subsurface. Some will be storm trap units, some will be plastic storm tech units, but the stormwater design meets all the state stormwater standards. And actually on Monday night, we finished up the planning board process here in Tewksbury. And this stormwater management system has been fully reviewed by Kevin Hardiman, the town engineer. And we had received a approval, his okay through the planning board process.
Can I just ask you just to speak a little louder? I'm having a tough time hearing.
Sure. Yep. So yeah, we the stormwater system itself has been reviewed by Kevin Hardiman, who is okayed it, and on Monday night we had received planning board approval for this project. So other than stormwater, all existing utilities that service the site today will be reused. So existing electrical connections, gas connections, water connections that already service the existing building will be reused. The only exception to that is a new sanitary sewer force main will be proposed. And so that is going to be hung on the Discovery Way Bridge and will tie into an existing sewer manhole here on Woburn Street. So that is, in general, description of the site. I'd be happy to answer any more questions if you have them, but I guess I'll start by passing it over to Laura, who can explain more of the wetland systems that are on the site here.
Is Laura there?
Oh, she told me she was online.
I think she's muted.
Yes, she's not.
Yeah, sorry, I can't unmute here. Yeah.
We can hear
We
you
can
now.
hear you now.
I can hear you
Oh,
now.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I was trying everything. Thank you. Well, just I think there's a couple things to note. We kind of touched on this during the opening hearing as well, but as Jeff indicated, the area of fill that's for that isolated wetland in Tewksbury is about 2,300 square feet, 2,400 square feet. And so the replication area will be one-to-one on the north side of the site, but it will be adjacent to a contiguous BBW area, as opposed to creating another isolated area elsewhere. Oh, this is kind of the blow up of the wetland mitigation design there. I did want to just note too that to give everyone a progress update, Bill Manuel, who's performing the peer review for this site, was able to walk the wetland line yesterday. And he did report back that he was comfortable with the line. There were, I think, a couple flags in one particular location that had been disturbed and pulled off the existing vegetation, and he was going to write that in his response letter. So we await that. But as far as the majority of the line, he was comfortable with all of the existing flagging. And as we await that response letter from him, any other questions that the commission has, we'd be interested to answer now, or adjust our revised plans accordingly to reflect any comments you have.
Okay, board members, any questions?
No questions.
I have no question, Chairman.
I have a question. Just a request, could you go into a little bit more detail about the replication efforts, the isolated wetland in the southeast corner? It seems a lot larger than the place that, the locations that it's going to be replaced in. So I'm not quite sure where the new locations are and what is there right now.
Yeah, so just to be clear too, we're only replicating the amount. So overall, we are replicating the full amount of fill for that wetland, but because the town line bisects the wetland, there will actually be 2 replication areas. So the Billerica side will be replicated on the Billerica site, or the Billerica part of the site, and then the Tewksbury side will be here. So when I was saying the 2,300 square, Jeff can correct me, I think it's 2,400 square feet. That is just what you see here in the replication area. It's not the entire wetland, it's just the portion that's in Tewksbury.
All right.
Right now, it's kind of a grassy slope that's there right now. Definitely disturbed area. It's really the wetland that's there follows the entire toe of slope. It's an emergent wetland to the north. So this is kind of utilizing an area that's already degraded and disturbed, and trying to add value to that, and hopefully the idea too is that there's value in a contiguous wetland area as opposed to creating something that's isolated. Does that help to answer your questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
That helps a lot. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Okay, I just have one question. I don't know if I asked this at the last meeting or not. There's no fuel storage on the site, is there?
No, there will be no fuel storage. Not exterior to the building. I believe interior to the building there will be some.
The interior of the building will have fuel?
What's that? Well, I believe it's sort of something to power the forklifts.
Oh, okay. I'm looking for more or
That's
less.
all been coordinated with the fire department.
Yeah, I was more or less looking for like a diesel fuel tank to fill the trucks up with.
No.
So there's going to be nothing outside. So there's not going to be a gas station on the premises is basically what I'm asking.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
No gas.
All right. Members have anything else to add? Stefania?
I just have 2 questions. My first question just kind of follows up on the replication area. I was just wondering, you said it's at the toe of slope, the current wetland, the BVW. So do you anticipate like a lot of excavating and to kind of get the slopes to be the same? I'm just wondering more about that.
Yeah, it will definitely have to be dug out. There is kind of what I was mentioning before. There is a slope there now. It is. I don't know if we could get you a sort of an amount of material that would need to be pulled out, but it will be pulling out an existing slope and creating a slope adjacent to the wetland that actually, Jeff, maybe you can indicate the steepness of that proposed slope.
Okay,
Slope would be 3 to 1.
3 to 1. Okay.
Yeah, that's as steep as we go with that slope. But here's sort of a cross-section view with this dashed line here being the existing grade, and this bold line here would be the finished grade. So this slope going back up would be 1.
Okay. And would there be like an erosion control blanket used to stabilize that slope once the new slope is created, or some kind of some method like that? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. We'll use most likely a blanket type erosion control. Yeah.
Okay. And then my next question was just, have you been to the Billerica Con yet?
Yeah. So. I was going to say, I know, coincidentally, it started at 6 p.m. tonight. So we had an hour, and then I exited politely and came to this meeting.
Okay.
So we have some, Connor, who you know, is talking about the project as we speak with Bill Ricca. But yes, they are evaluating it as well.
Okay.
We did,
Yeah, but
we did receive a full comment letter back from Beta, their peer reviewer, relating to stormwater, and we are working through those comments with Beta, and nothing substantial.
okay. I would just be curious to just know kind of how the meeting went tonight. Just
Yeah, we can report back. I believe they're probably still ongoing. But
Okay. Yeah, they evaluated the demo portion first, and I think that was close to finishing, but they hadn't really gotten into the redevelopment aspect yet when I left. So we can confer and then report back to you.
all right.
Okay, so we're still waiting on the peer review from Bill Emanuel, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we can do anything with this tonight. So we're probably going to continue this to our next meeting. I just tried to get the Bill Ricca thing on the TV here to see where they're at. Because if they reschedule you to their next meeting, I don't want it to be on the same day because it'll get, you know what I mean? If theirs starts at 6, then we'll put you later in the agenda on the same evening if we have to.
Yeah, sure. That would be great. I don't know. I don't know if they have another scheduled meeting. This was kind of a last minute scheduling for them. So I'm not sure what their upcoming one is, if it is on the same day as yours. But yeah, either way, we have staff to be at both hearings. So
Okay,
we'll be present.
all right. Well, that's my main concern is that you have staff to go. I mean, I don't want to have both of you at 2 different meetings at the same time. Put it that way.
yeah. No, we split it up tonight. I do believe their next hearing is the 27th.
Okay, so we'll continue this to the 27th on ours. I don't know what they will do, but we can kind of jockey. If their meeting starts at 6, we don't start till 7, so we could push you off to the last item on the agenda so you have time with Bill Ricca. How's that sound?
Sure.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to continue unless somebody else has anything else to add. Oh, it is a public hearing. We need to, is there anybody in the on the audience there that wants to speak? And we're going to wait 30 seconds, correct? Okay, while we wait the 30 seconds, I think Mr. Shan should entertain us with a song or something. I was serious, Dennis.
Yeah, good for you.
Okay, let me know when we can move on. Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion to continue notice of intent for Adam Goldberg, C. Fry Properties, 495 Woburn Street, Map 1, Lot 1, and 40 Discovery Way, Map 1, Lot 3, DEP number 305-11112, to our next meeting of May 27th. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. We'll see you at our next meeting. Hopefully it'll be a live meeting and not this virtual stuff. Yeah. Okay. Next on the agenda. So we'll see them on the May 27th. Next on the agenda is oh, it's the same. Okay, here we go. Public hearing, notice of intent, EIP 495 Woburn Street, LLC 495 Woburn Street, Map 1, Lot 1, and 40 Discovery Way, Map 1, Lot 3, DEP number pending. Okay, if you can just introduce yourselves for the record one more time so we have it since it's a different issue.
Sure, yes. My name is Jeff Black, civil engineer with VHB on behalf of the applicant, and I'm also joined by Laura Leach, wetland scientist with VHB.
I think I lost you. I can't hear.
Oh, did I get muted?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can barely hear you.
Okay, I'll speak up a bit. So again, my name is Jeff Black with VHB, civil engineer on behalf of the applicant, and I'm also joined by Laura Leach, the wetland scientist with VHB as well. So I'll start again, I guess, with the site. This is the same site here. We're talking about the 495 Woburn Street site. I guess I'll explain why this project is sort of broken up into two applications here. The application I just spoke about regarding the redevelopment is for Seafried Properties, who is the developer in charge of constructing the proposed facility. This work will be undertaken by Equity Industrial Partners, EIP, who are the landowners. So what this notice of intent is regarding is about the demolition of the existing building and also an electrical connection that will help facilitate the demo and help keep some of the environmental remediation activities at the site ongoing throughout the duration of construction. So what I have here shown is a graphic here showing the extent of the electrical work, which would be constructed. That would be the first thing that's constructed. Like I said, the reason being there's an existing substation here on the south east corner of the site. And what you can see here in red is along this length of the property would be installed overhead electrical poles and overhead wire and utility poles. Once we get down into the southwest corner of the property, there would be some transformers and other a transformer and other electrical equipment, which will be used to power several of the historical or the several of the remediation activities ongoing at the site. So from this transformer location, there would be underground conduit. So from this point north, everything would be underground, installed within the existing pavement. There would be a conduit that runs here, which would intercept an existing conduit and power a facility that GZA is the LSP of record. They have a box here that needs electrical power, and then there is an existing Connex box at the north west corner of the site. So this electrical connection would go into the Connex box, and then it would also come out and power the existing pump station. So all of these facilities right now are powered from the existing building. So they need to get the electrical connection hooked up to these existing facilities so they can continue pumping and treating and doing the work that they're doing today once the building is demolished. The activity within the buffer zones here in Tewksbury would be, like I said, this is, you can sort of see the existing ring road here. There would be overhead connection from this existing substation, and you can see here there'd be 2 poles just outside of the wetland, and we have erosion control, to help contain. It's just a utility pole going in, so there would be no trenching or anything. Here, it would just be the installation of the electrical red wires and the poles, and then.
So all of Tewksbury is going to be above ground.
Almost. So once the electrical makes this loop around from this Connex box to, this is the approximate location of the existing pump station. And so that pump station would need to be serviced by an underground conduit that would come from the Connex box and power this pump station. So there would be some bit of underground conduit in
Okay.
this location here. And then following that ultimately would be the demolition of the building itself. There is I believe actually none of the building itself is within the buffer areas of Tewksbury. So that's in general what the extent of the NOI is related to the building demolition and electrical installation that would precede any sort of the redevelopment activities that we just spoke about.
Okay. Stefan, any issues?
No issues. So like you had said, we are waiting for DEP numbers still. So we will have to continue because of that. I mean, I had a few questions that I had asked Laura about, and she kind of cleared that all up for me. I had just kind of wanted to clarify that the 2 utility poles near the isolated wetland weren't actually in the wetland, and they were outside the wetland. And I just wanted to make sure that there were no impacts associated with this application. And then I would have just one question. This is kind of for both projects. Just overall, do you kind of have an anticipated length of time that the whole project would take?
Right now, they're talking about starting sometime this summer. I'd have to check with the developer on the schedule, but I imagine it would be between a year and 18 months of construction. They are anticipating a couple months for demo.
Okay.
Right now, they are doing abatement within the building, but no demo has started. So it would be between a year and 8 months.
Okay.
Board members, any questions?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
I don't have any questions either.
Mr. McMullen?
I have one question. What's the depth for the underground electric line?
Typically, the underground conduit has 3 feet of cover, so it would
Okay.
be 3 feet on top of the pipe, so approximately 4.5 foot trench.
Okay, and historically, where's groundwater been observed on the site?
On the Billerica side down here, I believe it is around elevation 98 or 99. And existing grade down here is where the conduit is around elevation 7.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I have one question. The pole area, is that going to be permanent, or is that just for the deconstruction of the building? Is it going to change when they build a new building, or are the poles permanent?
The poles would all be permanent. That's why
Okay.
it's sort of pushed off to the edge of development, so they could ultimately redevelop around it.
Okay, so they're going to be like a telephone pole or a cement pad, or
It would be like a telephone pole.
Okay. That was all I had. I wasn't sure if it was going to be temporary during the deconstruction versus the construction. All right. Like Stefania said, oh, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak? Jason, you let me know if anybody's on the line, and we'll have Mr. Sheen entertain us again. Is there one? Okay. We good? Okay, if we're all set there, and I need a motion to continue the notice of intent, EIP 495 Woburn Street LLC, 495 Woburn Street, map 1, lot 1, and 40 Discovery Way, map 1, lot 3, DEP number pending. Like a motion to continue to our next meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. And we'll see you next week. Oh, a couple weeks, whatever it is.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. Okay, next, an enforcement order update. William Conassus, 20 Corbett Street, map 103, lot 127. Okay, Stefania, the floor is yours.
Okay, let me just get my. So this enforcement order was issued last summer, in August. I don't know if anyone remembers. It was for clearing, filling, grading. There was underground pipe, gravel trenches. So the commission had ordered restoration of the area, and they had provided plans, and they had a wetland scientist helping them with the restoration plans. So in that enforcement order, it was continued to May 2020. So that's why it's on this agenda. So I have reached out to the homeowner. I did hear back from the consultant who said he was going to speak to the homeowner and get back to me. And then I did just do a quick drive-by this week just to kind of see what the area looked like. Obviously without being on site and really taking a good look, it's hard to tell, but it does look like something has been done. I mean, it definitely was not in the condition that it was in last August. So, I mean, for now, I think really not much needs to be done. I think we would just continue to another date so that we can get an actual update and I can do an actual site visit.
Okay, so you're waiting to hear back from the homeowner or from the wetland scientist?
So either or. So the wetland scientist, Steve Erickson from Norse, he's the one that responded to my email to them, and he said he would get back to me once he spoke to the homeowner.
Okay, so why don't we bring this up at the next meeting, because it's still May, the next meeting.
Okay.
And you might hear from that person in the meantime. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so any questions, gentlemen?
I have no question.
Okay.
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, request for, next on the agenda is request for certificate of compliance, James W. Marshall and Don L. Marshall, 35 Settlers Way. Map 32, lot 85, DEP 304964. Stefania, could fill us in here.
Okay, so
This was a new development, correct?
it was pretty recent. It was Settlers Way. I think it was probably built. It was built after 2014, so it wasn't too long ago. So one of the homeowners is selling and needs to close out the certificate of compliance for at least their lot in order to sell. So they are looking for a partial certificate of compliance for 35 Settlers Way. And I mean, again, I did a drive-by down the street, and from what I can see, there's nothing out of the ordinary. There's a house where a house was supposed to be built. So given the circumstances, they have to sell their home, so I don't have any issues with this.
Okay. All right, so we need to entertain a motion to approve the certificate, a partial certificate of compliance for James W. Marshall and Don L. Marshall at 35 Settlers Way, map 32, lot 85, DEP 304964. And this is a partial for lot 85, correct?
35.
How come my paper says 85? Are you sure it's 35?
Yes, 35.
Lot 80.
Lot 85, though.
Oh, map 32, lot 85. Sorry.
Okay, I just want to make sure. We had the map in there. I just want to confirm the lot 85.
Yeah, lot 85.
Okay, and this is a partial certificate of compliance. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well, so that one's all set. Okay, now we have anybody have any old business? Hearing none. We're gonna go to new business. Okay, Stefania, the floor is yours again for update on Old Boston Road.
Okay. So this order of conditions was the one for the new substation off of Power Company Road. So Bill Manuel has been monitoring this bi-weekly for a lot of the construction. But now things are really settling down, and as you can see in his email, he thinks that it would be okay to stop his monitoring altogether since they're kind of just cleaning things up and major construction is done. So he just wants to make sure that the commission would be okay with that before he made that decision.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
No questions.
And I have none. So, do we need a motion for this, or is this just, I don't think we need a motion for this. This is just to inform him that he no longer has to do it, correct?
Yeah, I think that's fine, just as long as everyone's in agreement.
Right. I'm in agreement. So what we'll do anyways is take a motion to discontinue Old Boston Road monitoring DEP number 3051049. We'll do it by motion so we have it for the record. So that's the motion is made. Do I have nobody saying anything?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well, so at least that's on the record. Okay, next item is Pine Street. Okay, fill us in on this.
So you all have the letter that the Community Development Office received. So I was received to the Conservation, given to the Conservation Commission and to the Planning Board. So it's in regards to the new subdivision of Pine and Whipple. So kind of you can see they just talk about an isolated land area subject to flooding on 171 Pine Street, which is abuts the new subdivision. So I just wanted the commission to be aware of this since it is a complaint that we received. I mean, if this project goes forward, it does need to come to the Conservation Commission. So it's something that we'll definitely have to look at. We did issue an order of resource area delineation for this, for the 181 Pine Street.
181, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't remember the isolated wet area when we were out there, and Bill Manuel didn't note anything. So I don't know. I mean, it's something that should definitely be looked at when they come in for the notice of intent, but.
Okay. But we were just doing 181. We weren't doing 181.
Right. I mean, but I think we would have saw if it was flooded in the fall, we definitely would have noticed that. Maybe some area that floods kind of seasonally.
Yeah. What I would suggest is to, there again, take a look at it, but monitor it. I mean, right now it's been wet, so see what it looks like now. And this is just to have some history for when they do come in for a notice of intent. We have some recent information instead of because one of these pictures is back to 2003.
Right.
You know, but I think if we, in your travels, I would swing by and just look at it. You know, maybe take a picture here and there, date it.
Okay.
Because we have no notice of intent from the builders of 181 yet.
Correct.
So I would have those handy. And I watched a planning board meeting the other night, and there was swales and no swales, but like I said, I would just monitor it. I mean, even though it's a very short period of time, at least you'll be out there and we have some type of evaluation of what the site looks like currently.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Board members, any other questions?
I have one. So I'm not sure if this is premature because the notice of intent hasn't been filed yet, but I am an abutter to an abutter of that property. So I wasn't sure if I would need to recuse myself or if I should when it eventually comes up.
You're the abutter to the abutter.
Yeah.
So you don't abut the development at all,
No.
but you abut one of the abutters.
Yes.
Is the abutter the one that wrote the letter?
Yes, my understanding is that.
And you would have to recuse yourself.
All right.
Because he would technically be your neighbor.
Mm.
Well, you probably wouldn't have to recuse yourself, but it's perception, the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I personally would recuse myself.
All right.
But Stefania can find out a little bit more about that. But
It might be helpful to get just an opinion from town council, just
All right.
yeah.
so we have something official.
Yeah.
And I can kind of make the first communication if you want to, and then see if he wants you to reach out to him.
All right.
Okay.
All right. With that, does anybody else have anything? Any new business?
Nope.
Like the answer. Again, I want to thank you, Jason, for your help. It seems like everything's been going smoothly. I mean, a couple of glitches here and there, but not much. Okay, now I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. McMullen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Ronan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sheehan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Be safe, everyone.
You too.